one of the most pressing public policy challenges of India, that is Indian education system. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our policy podcast channel that we have where we discuss policies and policies that India has implemented or rather implement regularly. Maybe not regularly, but for the first time, I guess, but definitely the last time. Yeah. So, like as you have heard of the today's topic that we have, that is Indian education system, and we are an expert panelist from whom we will get some very well solutions, and we'll actually discuss all the problems that we have in this particular policy. And despite India's rapid growth that we have, its rural education system lacks significantly, rather more significantly, like with issues ranging from inadequate infrastructure to growing digital divide that we have. So education is a fundamental right of everyone, and I guess it's one of the most important factor that will contribute to economic and social growth of a country. So, in this particular podcast, we are going to discuss everything about the policy that we have currently and practical solutions to all those problems that we have regarding all these policies. And we'll have a very good hypothetical scenario which will discuss about the policy implementation in a very proper manner. And I guess you really like this podcast and get some very valuable lessons from it. And I really hope that you enjoyed. So, without wasting any time, let's get dive into our podcast. That's it. So let's begin by outlining the scope of the issue. So the disparity in the content and accessibility of rural education in India is staggering. According to the ASL report of 2022, only 42.8% of students in classified rural areas could read a classroom in text. Okay, so this is a very sharp decline, as you can see from what was in 2018 of 50.8%. So indicating how the COVID-19 pandemic has worsened learning outcomes. The pandemic also highlighted the glaring digital divide. So one of the research report that we had of 2021 revealed that only 24% of rural households of India had access to a smartphone for online education during lockdowns. So millions of students fell behind, leading to higher dropout rates and further widening the urban-rural education gap.
So the cost of neglecting the issue of immense without the access the quality of education, rural youth face limited career opportunities, reinforcing cycle of poverty and the marginalization. These are not just numbers; they represent lives or and future for at this time. So here with us, Mr. Govind Garg, Kunal Gupta, and Faraju Mangal for the podcast.
So let's not waste any time and get back into our podcast. So to delve into the existing landscapes and its challenges. So the government of India has actually initiated various schemes or rather policies like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan that we have and the recently introduced National Education Policy of 2022. So I guess our audience would like to have a very good glimpse of all these particular policies from the panels that we have. So yeah, all over to you.
Yeah, exactly. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan has been a pivotal thing in this situation, and National Education Policy lays a transformative vision for inclusive, digital, and experimental learning by 2030. Its roots are growing all over India, in rural, in urban. Although in urban areas the roots are still a bit shrink, they are growing very slowly, but they are there. So we can say that improvements have been made.
Although it sounds promising, but you know what's the actual problem that we have? The implementation. Okay. So, for example, let's take challenges in realizing that how the NEP 2022 can be implemented for them.
Yeah. So see, digital access is a glaring challenge, and while the initiatives like you say about Diksha and PM E-Vidya were taken to bridge the gap, but their reach is very limited. If you look upon TRIBE's 2023 report, so you can clearly see that rural internet penetration was only 37% compared to 70% in urban areas. So we can clearly say that the limit is effectiveness of digital platform is limited.
And as a teacher training is a glaring concern in it. Could you shed light on this?
So yes, teacher training remains a critical issue. The NEP emphasizes that continuous professional development, but many rural teachers lack access to updated tools and techniques. As we can see that the required tools and techniques are not available, so that's why it remains a critical issue. And a study by Azim Premji University 2021 revealed that 25% of rural teachers are untrained. Could you believe that? And they are directly affecting the students' learning outcomes.
So, there are various concerns that you have. Like talking about concerns part, resource allocation is another concern that we have. So, like, do you think the resources that we have, all the cash and all the funds that are being released for all these policies are used efficiently?
Well, surely they should be, as we all know, but unfortunately not. The CAG report 2021 found that 30% of SSA resources in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh were went unspent. Now, as we all know, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh has a major part of the population living in rural areas, so education system need to be boosted there. But 30% of fund going unspent is a major concern. Such inefficiency undermines the intended impact of these policies which they are trying to make and pose somewhat of a norm in Indian society where fund go unspent and work has been initiated but not done.
Yeah, I agree with your point, Rohit. Some work has been done in the recent years, but to bring a highlight on your point, I would say the results, the improvements still quite low.
They are moving on, but very slowly, as you can say. That.
Yeah, I agree with it.
Okay. But the community involvement often proves effective. How can this be a leverage in India?
Exactly, you're right. Community involvement is the key. Like in Finland, local communities play an active role in school governance. Also, likewise in India, this could be replicated by empowering school management committees, ensuring greater accountability and localized solutions.
Yeah, so like we did discuss all the problems that we had, and I really would like to thank you for all the discussion that we had. A podcast is simply maybe incomplete without all the solutions that we can discuss. Like, let's just move to all the solutions part that we can have over a podcast and share all the glimpses of solutions that we can do as an individual or as a country for this particular education system that we all need to improve, I guess. Yeah, so like, how do we actually address this digital divide point?
Yeah, right. That's a good point. As we know, it's a digital age, so we should look into other countries' methods and ways how they solve this issue. One prominent case I have in my mind is Kenya's digital reading program. So basically, what they have done, they have used mobile equipments, mobile tools, rather to say, to help teachers successfully improve literacy. So even with the limited resource, they have increased their literacy rate with a very high numbers. So I think it's a great example.
So just an add-on to my fellow speaker, in India we have a BharatNet program which also aims to bring internet access to rural areas. And as we talked earlier about the gap of access of internet services between the rural and urban are very wider. So to overcome this, we need to speed up the rollout of BharatNet for the same, and that's how we can reduce the digital divide. So definitely, guys, we need to find ways to bridge the digital divide and ensure that everyone has access to the same opportunities.
Yes, and if a third world country like Kenya can do it, why can't India with a population of 1.3 billion can do it? They are
Yeah,
surely
I guess that's right.
That's
Like,
the spirit.
yeah, but obviously this is something that can be done overnight. But there's this thing called teacher training that needs to be implemented before all this is done. Like, what could be the practical solutions for this teacher training part of the problem?
Well, these kind of things mostly go hand in hand. Like we are talking about digital divide and teacher training. So the digital divide itself can be a problem in teacher training. As we go with the digital divide, there will be many communication channels established, network can be made, towers, internet connection can be improved, which will open so many kind of digital learning platforms for teachers for their training and rigorous new insight in the matter they want to teach to the students, and they can make the student aware about the world, what's happening around the world in their interest and as they want to see.
Yeah, like you can have your own Ferrari and have no particular good roads to drive it. That it's completely useless. I guess, in this case. Like we have all this particular system defined for this, okay? But like without proper infrastructure, it still remains a major challenge of infrastructure. Like in a country like India, where spending too much of money on infrastructure is something that is really concerning, and people actually opt for it. But like, what do you think is infrastructure is still a major challenge, and how can it be overcome?
But you know that there is a solution for every problem if the finder has the keen attention to find it. So upon that line, I am saying that public-private partnerships can help. You can take the example of South Africa. South Africa's Adopt a School program has shown how corporates can significantly improve school facilities. Similarly, India's CSR framework could be utilized similarly. So you know what CSR is? Corporate Social Responsibilities.
Okay. There is also a term surfacing called vocational training. The audience they do not know about it. Can you please elaborate it?
Well, vocational training, as we all know, is something of a training while learning, doing something while we are still learning it. It basically focuses on doing something which we want to do while still learning it. Now we can take an example of Germany. In Germany, they adopt a dual education system in which they teach students which they want to do and then do a practical implementation of that. So that's something we can implement in rural areas to keep youth interest in the field they want to with the training, particular training. Now then we go in the corporate world, they will have a training in that and they will be able to succeed there.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's really good of all the solutions that we have. You know what, as we all know that we do in podcasts and have hypothetical situations where we imagine all the stuffs and get to the practical life. Like, let's have an hypothetical situation here. Like, let's just imagine a village called maybe Shikshanagar. Yeah? So, like here in Shikshanagar, we have BharatNet, as you previously mentioned, which would ensure every household has internet connection, a proper internet connection, and the schools are equipped with maybe smart classrooms, all the digital boards, and everything that we're gonna have. And every teacher receives monthly virtual training, as we discussed in your teacher training part. So, like, how do you now see this as an how do you see this hypothetical situation now in your particular line of stage?
That's quite a word you explained here. Now let me try and put a school in. Now if a school will be made in this, that will have a core learning subjects, like students will learn with the teacher interaction in the morning. Then in the afternoon, they can do what we have discussed, vocational training, a practical application of the skills they want to do, like carpentry, electrician and coding, etc., whichever they want to do. And now in evening, there can be sports, physical activities, other curricular activities to make the education proper, comprehensive and the overall development of the student. So these kind of schools in these kind of villages will mostly career oriented and individual needs will be prioritized, his interest and values.
Yeah.
Of course, it's an ideal scenario which looks unattainable. But with the collaborative effort and innovating thinkings, is it possible to turn the vision into reality?
Surely, but better efforts and steadfast implementation is needed by the government along with a sufficient budget.
And you know what? The community plays an active role in governance. Like parents and teachers can collaborate. They can monitor the students that will reduce the dropout rates and improve outcomes. The model can also inspire neighboring villages and attract attention from policymakers worldwide. That's a good thing.
Yeah, agreed with you.
Yeah, I guess that's really very helpful of you for doing all this stuff. Like, rural education in India stands at a critical juncture. So my policies like NEP 2022 have laid a strong foundation, and the road rest times requires concerted efforts and innovative approaches. So, like, we did discuss everything that we needed to know, and I guess this was one of the most helpful podcasts about NEP or rather the education problem that we had in our country. Like, education is really a fundamental right, and it's a key to breaking the cycle of poverty and unlocking the nation's full potential. Our nation can actually can prosper without having a proper education infrastructure, and together we can ensure that every child in rural India has access to quality education and opportunities for a brighter future. Like, I would like to thank our panelists that we had today for all the contributions that they did, and really thankful to you too for joining us today and listening to all the podcast talks from these panels, and obviously having lending your ears to me. So all that's from my side, and I would eventually go further. So yeah, let's just finish this talk over here, and I'm really thankful for listening to us. Yeah, thank you.
थोड़ा घर से कॉल आ गया
हाँ चलो
This is very good. I have not read it, but you must read it.
so study by Azim Premji
Bloopers.
Super silence.